and welcome. I am Drew Walker, your self-proclaimed king of the nerds, and this is NERDAPEDIA. First, we're going to be taking a look at the grandfathers of modern video game, taking place between 1947 and 1959 in what I like to call the pre-gaming era. Now I know what you're thinking, 1947 and 1959? Surely gaming started in the 70s. Well, you would be right if not for two men by the names of Thomas T. Goldsmith Jr. and Estelle Ray Mann, who created a primitive asteroid game on something they called the cathode ray tube amusement device. Basically, there was sort of a aircraft on screen and you controlled the dot, and when the dot covered a certain portion of the airplane, you press the button and then the airplane would explode. This all happened in 1947. This astounded me when I first found out, as it was nearly 30 years before gaming would become mainstream. Unfortunately, it was never manufactured or sold to the public at the time, so you'd have a pretty difficult time getting your hands on this. However, if you were to get in contact with either Mr. Mann or Mr. Goldsmith's representatives, I'm sure they could point you in the right direction. While most computers at the time operated in bit serial mode, two men by the names of Ray Forrester and Robert Everett were working on the first real-time electronic computer that they called the Whirlwind project. The Whirlwind project operated on a 16-bit word cycle in bit parallel mode, which made it much faster at the time. By 1947, both Forrester and Everett had completed the Whirlwind project. Then, in 1949, Charlie Adama created a bouncing ball program for the Whirlwind computer. While the program wasn't interactive yet, it was a precursor for games to come. Games like Tennis for Two, and a game I'm sure you're all familiar with, and if you're not, you should pause this video and go play Pong right now. In February 1951, Christopher Strachey tried to run a drafts or checkers program on the Pilot Ace. Unfortunately, the program exceeded the memory capacity of the Pilot Ace, and he had to recode it for a machine in Manchester. Now, the Pilot Ace was a preliminary version of the full Ace project, which had been in development by Alan Turing. Yes, that Alan Turing. Turing, however, left the project because he was unsatisfied with the speed at which the project had been developed. Also in 1951, while developing television technologies for a US-based company, Laurel, inventor Ralph Baer came up with the idea of using lights and patterns he used in his work as more than just calibration equipment. He realised that by giving the audience the means to manipulate what was being projected onto their television sets, their role changed from passive observing to interactive primitive gameplay. When he took this to his supervisor, however, it was quickly squashed as the company didn't have the time or resources to explore this matter further. You know, it's stuff like this that makes me sad, but also blows my mind. Nearly 30 years before gaming received mainstream popularity, and powerhouses of the scientific world were already hard at work creating early concepts of something that would end up cementing their legacy. However, quite possibly 90% of people who used hyper-evolved forms of what they created don't know they had anything to do with early computers, consoles, and later video games. This is the end of part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and remember, always support the official release.